Yes, yes, yes. We are back. We are back. Hello to everyone that's joining us here at both sides of the conversation. Welcome to our Educational Thursdays. Thank you for joining us today and spending your evening with us. We gather in this virtual space here every Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I am Colise Hollins on behalf of John Henry, our founder and executive director, also known as the Bishop. We also have our co-hosts, Aya White and Mark Scott. Say something to the community.
Good evening, community. We have a great show lined up for you. So excited, can't wait to get into it.
And good evening, community. Brother Mark Scott here. Glad to be in again with the amazing both sides of the conversation. I know we're all going to learn some amazing information tonight, so I'm definitely looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. So Tuesday, Hidden Gems. I'm sorry I missed you all. As you just heard me, I'm still fired up from Juneteenth. I was introducing myself saying I'm Black. I am Black. So yes, we are here. We are back and we are Black. But nonetheless, we are here. We're happy. Juneteenth was one of the best experiences. I tell you, San Francisco did that thing out there. We were all over. Both sides of the conversation was there the entire weekend. We enjoyed ourselves. We fellowshiped with the community. We seen all the entertainment. It was nice, very nice. So if you didn't know, we are on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter. Go ahead and subscribe, like, and follow both sides of the conversation because we are changing the narrative. Also, don't forget to follow us on YouTube and ring the bell so that you can get the alerts for our shows. Today, we are joined by our fabulous Educational Thursday presenter here shortly. And I'm telling you, their expertise is in life insurance, mortgage protection, and IUL'S. But now we will be getting into our news and community events. Mark, go ahead and take it over.
All right, in world news, starting off first headline, dirty San Francisco street star in DeSantis Kennedy campaign ads. Republican presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis and would-be Democratic challenger Robert F. Kennedy Jr. are using campaign videos filmed on dirty San Francisco street corners to make a case for why voters should rally behind them. In DeSantis' video posted online Tuesday, the Florida governor takes aim at liberal politicians, saying these policies have caused people to flee this area. In a video posted this week to his TikTok channel, Kennedy stood on a Mission District corner last week as he called out the need to fix homelessness by providing more Section 8 vouchers. Also in the news, San Francisco Walgreens locked up shelves ripped off by thieves. Shoplifters at a San Francisco Walgreens ripped off the plastic screens on its locked up shelves on Monday night. The store manager said the Walgreens said a group entered the Bernal Heights store at around 8 p.m. and began smashing the shelves in two of the store's aisles, where laundry soap and dental products were locked away behind plastic shields due to rampant shoplifting in the city. Customers and staff in San Francisco stores recently described the security measures as irritating. Also, San Francisco arrested or cited 53 people for drug use. All refused treatment. Mayor London Breed's office said Wednesday that under a new program to combat drug dealing and drug use, the San Francisco Police Department and Sheriff's Department encountered 58 people who were intoxicated in public since May 30th. Of those, 5 people were taken to local hospitals, 11 given misdemeanor citations, 42 were booked into jail for temporary detention. 28% had outstanding warrants and 8% identified as San Francisco residents, according to the police, but none accepted offers of treatment upon their release from jail, said the mayor's office in a press release Wednesday. Also, Boom Loop News. The San Francisco neighborhood is riding arts and culture to recovery. When the pandemic shuttered storefronts across San Francisco, things looked particularly bleak in Hayes Valley, where 80% of the businesses were small and individually owned. We fell harder and faster than any other commercial corridor in the city, said Lloyd Silverstein, president of the Hayes Valley Merchants Association. Yet the neighborhood today is bustling and thriving, thanks in no small part to the arts. And finally, Biden Newsom meet on AI in San Francisco before a pricey Marin fundraiser. President Joe Biden met Tuesday with Governor Gavin Newsom and a group of civil society and tech leaders in San Francisco to debate what he called the risk and enormous promises of artificial intelligence. The Biden administration is seeking to figure out how to regulate the emergent field, looking for ways to nurture its potential for economic growth and national security and protect against its potential dangers. And that'll do it for the news. I'll pass it back over to you for community events.
Oh, yes, we have some events. We always have something going on for the community. So please bear with us. We have a pretty good amount of events. San Francisco residents, do you have a misdemeanor or a felony that needs clearing? Yes, we have resources for you, and all of our links will be here to follow. Link 21 is hosting an open house so you can link with them to help improve your Northern California travel choices, connections, and communities. Online open house is open 7 days a week, 24 hours per day, starting mid-June through mid-July. There are 2 virtual events on June 27th, 5:30 to 7 p.m., and which is the community meeting, and June 29th, 5 to 6 p.m. is their office hours. Balloon Sisters Grand Opening is happening June 24th at 12 p.m. at 1624 Oakdale Avenue in San Francisco. Yes, we have events. I tell you. Here to Stay is hosting an in-person cafe for Oakland small business owners. This is happening on June 28th, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Cypress Mandela Training Center, 977 66th Avenue in Oakland. San Francisco Human Rights Commission is having a free virtual conversation, Freedom, Dreaming Futures, featuring Erykah Badu, The Future of the Natural Alignment, on June 29th, 11:30 to 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. APRI, also known as a Philip Randolph Institute, is hosting informational sessions, many resources on obtaining a clean slate, jobs, housing support, and financial literacy. This is on June 29th at 1301 Evans Avenue at the Learning Center back door. Lonnie Green is hosting a Frisco Game Night, celebrating gospel, blues, jazz, soul, funk, electro, and hip hop. This is a free event. There will be a talent show with cash prizes, and a raffle. June 30th, 5 p.m., 11 p.m. Talent show is at 7 p.m. So that's a good amount of time, 5 to 11, talent show at 7 p.m. You can't beat that. Go have fun. It's a free event at the Bayview Opera House, 4705 3rd Street in San Francisco. City Kids is hosting a Creator Con. This is a free event as well. Creative outlets for art, music, and fashion. Save the date, July 14th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. The event will take place at the 200 block of Jones Street, and there will be more information coming soon. Youth Speaks is hosting Brave New Voices, the world's best poets in San Francisco. This summer only. Youth Speaks International Poetry Slam Festival is back for the first time since 2019. Yes, 2019, they are back. A week of live, life-changing, in-person events. There will be youth writing workshops and performances by artists and activists. This is on July 20th through July 22nd. Police Community Partnerships is hosting a Bayview National Night Out 2023. Kids Zone, food, resources fair, and more. August 1st, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. There will be 2 locations, Bayview Opera House at 4705 3rd Street, as well as the Joseph Lee Recreational Center at 1598 Oakdale Avenue. Mo Magic will be hosting a backpack giveaway on August 5th. This is 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Ella Hill Hutch, 1050 McAllister Street in San Francisco. B Magic will be hosting a backpack giveaway on August 12th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Now Hunters Point, 155 Jennings Street in San Francisco. San Francisco Human Rights Commission has regular bi-monthly commission meetings on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month at 5 p.m. in the San Francisco City Hall, room 416, and you can also attend via Zoom. African American Reparations Advisory Committee has monthly meetings virtually at 5:30 p.m. every second Monday. City College of San Francisco Mission Offices offering an administrative certification program. The curriculum is in person at 1125 Valencia Street. You got it in San Francisco. City College San Francisco Mission Offices also offering a free 18-week certificate program with job placement services for office positions in the construction industry. Classes are August to December of 2023 at 1125 Valencia Street in San Francisco. Promote your business, nonprofit, or community impact on Hidden Gems. Share your expertise on Educational Thursdays. Be a panelist on Sunday Conversations. I tell you, those conversations be heavy, but more so, tonight is Educational Thursday, so we are going to learn something. Keep up with both sides of the conversation, our latest shows. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Subscribe to our newsletter, link below. Both sides of the conversation is in search of volunteers. Give back to the community. You can email hr@bsotc.org. Go to all of our social media sites for more news on how to give back to your community and support both sides of the conversation. So our upcoming shows, Sunday's conversation will be this Sunday, June 25th at 4 p.m. Our topic for discussion will be the economic state of Black America. Our next show following that is June 27th at 7 p.m., our Hidden Gem segment. And I tell you, we have a lot going on, community, our events. We are in good shape. We always have things for you to do, but more so, tune in with us. Io, go ahead and bring it on.
Yes, I'm so intrigued about this guest tonight, Miss Yvette Sayers. She is a life insurance, mortgage protection, and IUL'S specialist. Yvette Sayers is an experienced and independent agent who represents multiple insurance carriers and can make a huge difference in what you pay for coverage. So I'm all about getting the bang for my buck. So let's see what she has to offer us this evening. Good evening.
Hi, you guys. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to come on and just kind of share. At the end of the day, it's just super important for us to be able to have life insurance. Unfortunately, a lot of us in the Black community, we don't even have a clue of what it is or how it works, or more importantly, how important it is to have it. It's kind of one of those things where I say I'd rather need it or have it and not need it than need it and not have it, right? So I'm happy to share with you guys everything that I have kind of in a nutshell, and also happy to address and answer any questions as we go through the slideshow.
Welcome, welcome. We thank you for being here, Yvette. You can take it on from here.
Make yourself at home.
Yay. All right. So there's the slideshow. That's me. Okay. Here we go. Next slide, please. Or first slide, please. So what I want to talk about today is life insurance, basically term versus whole life coverage. For those who don't know the difference, term is basically temporary coverage. It means that it will expire at a specific period of time, right? So that's why it's usually a time frame behind it. So it's usually 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. That's term, explained in a nutshell. And whole life is permanent. That means it expires when you expire. The other topic I want to discuss this evening is mortgage protection. This applies to people who own a home. And so I'll kind of tap into that and kind of explain that. And then today's hot button that you'll see like a lot of people doing TikTok videos on and such are IULs, which just stands for Index Universal Life Policies. And I'll touch on that as well. Next slide, please. So in short, life insurance is the most important thing that you have to have in place when the inevitable happens. And I always say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So next slide. So term life insurance is exactly what I just shared. It's short, it is term. Term means it does have an expiration date. Next slide. In most instances, you can get quotes in minutes. Usually you can just hop right online and you can get exactly what you need, or you can always call me. The next slide should have that information on there if anybody wants to jot down that website, so you can do it yourself if you need to, and then call me, of course, with any questions. Next slide, please. And as you see here, life insurance quotes they're fast, like super duper fast. Some companies you can pay like $17 a month for a $250,000 policy. It just really depends on your age, which is why I always try to encourage our young Black people 18 and better, just to get something in place now, because when you don't have any medical issues, it's like the easiest thing to get qualified for. But unfortunately, as we get older, it costs more, and that's just kind of the part of it. If you look here in the corner, if you want to jot down that website, if anyone needs to do that, that is literally where you can go to get some instantaneous quotes. And so hopefully that information will be helpful. Next slide, please. Life insurance ain't what it used to be. It's better because, as you said, you can get everything done online. That's kind of the life that we live in. Everything is instantaneous. And this is in regards to whole life. Whole life is permanent coverage. It means that it expires when you expire. Most companies, you can get life insurance as low as, for face amount purposes, as little as $2,000, and it can kind of go up from there. And the price, no matter what it is, no matter what policy you end up going with, your price is set in stone. And so the beauty of that is you don't have to worry about the price going up. It will always be the same. For the senior community, because I work with a lot of people who have budget, they are on Social Security or they're on disability, whatever the case may be, there is something for everybody. It's just not a one size fits all situation. So next slide, please. Mortgage protection. This is important because this is for people who own a home. It's important because if it's a situation where there's a breadwinner, most situations that is the case. If it's the husband that's the breadwinner, it would be unfortunate for the house not to be protected, right? Because at the end of the day, if something happens to the breadwinner, you don't want to put your wife or your spouse or your significant other in a situation where they have to figure it out and pick up the pieces. That's the most unfortunate part of it, where, someone goes, their income goes, right? Because they're gone. But then they end up in a situation where they have to refinance the house, or God forbid, they have to sell it. And even worse, if they have to lose it. So it's important to get mortgage protection. And you can start with just a little bit. Like if you have a $200,000 mortgage, start with half, get $100,000. At least you know that at the end of the day, your mortgage balance isn't going to always be $200,000. So that's why those particular products are in place. Next slide, please. And IUL. Like I said, that is a hot button for a lot of people. And literally what it is it's life insurance with living benefits. It does have a cash value growth exponent in there, and it goes a little bit faster than the other products. And so a lot of people like that because it's life insurance, which includes all of your stuff. So living benefits, so that we're clear, it's critical illness. So that covers you heart attack, stroke, cancer, ALS, multiple sclerosis. Those serious ailments is what that is for. Chronic illness is if you're unable to get dressed on your own, if you're unable to bathe on your own, your everyday things that you do every day. If you get to a point where you're not able to do those things, you're able to borrow against your cash, or not, sorry, your face amount. You're able to borrow against that to take care of whatever you need to take care of. And terminal illness is the other living benefit. And terminal illness is basically when you go to the doctor and they tell you that you have 12 months or less to live. That provides you with the opportunity to get a second opinion, have additional tests ran, or ultimately plan for your celebration of life. The upside to that, though, excuse me, is if you ended up in a situation where you got a clean bill of health, you don't have to pay that money back, and it's tax-free. So a lot of these policies, especially when it comes to the death benefit to your beneficiary, it's tax-free, and so you don't have to pay taxes on that. Next slide, please. And, in short, the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. I just thought it was an awesome quote by Walt Disney and just kind of wanted to share that. Next slide, please. And that is kind of it. There's always a ton of questions. We do have products that are non-medical. I wanted to share that too. And so non-medical just means no blood work, no swabbing, and no physicals. So when we speak about things being instantaneous, you can get qualified and have a policy number by the time you submit your payment information. That's how instant the world is. If you don't have any health issues, you're definitely a good candidate. There are some companies that I have, since I am a broker and I work with several different carriers, where you can go up to $400,000 with some of them, no blood work. The system determines your eligibility based on any prescriptions that you take. And that's kind of how that works. I'm happy to review policies for people if you need it, because I want to make sure that you're in the right boat, the right vehicle. Because at the end of the day, when we check out of here, we don't get to come back and say, hey, God, you think you can give me about 5 or 10 minutes so I can get my affairs in order? It doesn't work like that. So I always say be intentional about getting life insurance. And even if you have to start in the beginning, just start somewhere. All of my information is here. I am Yvette Sayers on Facebook. My IG information is there as well. And my phone numbers. So if you need me for anything, if you just need an ear, if you need some direction, mom, dad, grandma, auntie, uncle, whoever, I'm here to help. So thank you guys so much for having me this evening.
Yvette, I have the question of the hour. Why do folks put off purchasing life insurance when the cost is so minimal compared to the headache and heartache when something bad happens? Why do you believe people put that off? And can you share approximate amounts of life insurance?
I can. So the answer to your first question is it's like with anything else, people don't know. Like we can't prepare ourselves for stuff that we don't know, right? Growing up in the Black community, we weren't taught about life insurance. We weren't taught about owning a house. We weren't taught about all of like the IUL stuff. The other complexions have been doing that and taking advantage of that for years. We didn't know anything about it. So to know that I can put my money in an insurance vehicle that will accumulate cash value and I can go and borrow against that thing when my child gets ready to go to college, or if I need to buy a car, or if I need to put a down payment on a crib, like those are the things that we don't know. So I think to answer your question in short, it's because people don't know. But you can get life insurance for $20, $30 a month. People got eyelashes. I don't. These is mine. They got hair. It's my hair. Whatever it is, I'm just saying it's always something. We go to Starbucks every day. Come on now, that's $5 a day. You go 5 times a day or 5 days in a week, that's $25. You've just paid for your life insurance. So yeah.
And Yvette, as somebody who's seen the fish fries and the car washes when people are trying
Come
to get
on.
together final expenses, I've been there. I used to be a
Listen.
preacher, so I've experienced every step of the way. I watched my mother and father go through it, and thank God that my mother and father were prepared. They had everything lined out in the book. I have an IUL policy myself, but honestly, I'm not even aware of some of the tools. Again,
Mhm.
it was something when I went through my divorce, I knew needed to have something for my daughter in case something happens to me. But please dig a little deeper into what's actually available as some of these, because everybody thinks of it as just another bill. And if my budget is already tight, I ain't got room for another bill, even though it gives you a peace of mind that is priceless. Can you just
Okay.
please speak to the mindset of how valuable tools they are financially?
So I can work with anybody's budget. Understand. That is the blessing of being able to have several carrier options. We're not stuck with one option. At the end of the day, GoFundMe is not life insurance. And I say that emphatically because everybody thinks, oh, we can just do a GoFundMe page for grandma. Or at the end of the day, we in church and we done did 5 collections because we're trying to get some money for this, right? To bury somebody. And I just think it's poor planning. So, proper planning prevents piss poor performance, literally. And so just you start somewhere. It doesn't matter. Like I say, young people, 18 and that little age bracket, 18 through 30-ish, they can pay like $15 a month for a minimum of 25,000 in coverage, right? Accidental death, it happens. People pass away from accidents. Did you all know that when people or a person is murdered, that is considered an accident? If you don't have accidental death, it's not going to cover that.
Mm.
So it's those little bits and pieces that we don't know. And at the end of the day, my job is to make sure that you do know. is painful. People don't want to talk about it. That's the other thing. You get people all the time. It's like, we don't want to talk about that. Then you find out that your mom never had life insurance.
Right.
So I speak about being intentional because that's what this is. And you don't get to come back and fix any of it. So yeah.
Okay.
Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. And the other side, because again, here, both sides of the conversations, we want to make sure we're thinking about all the different perspectives. So what would be a couple of questions that somebody who's looking at buying life insurance for the first time to make sure they're not either buying more insurance than they actually need, or they're just not getting hustled and scammed? Because again, everybody knows somebody who sells something like life insurance, or they done been in a pyramid company. And how do people find legitimate options to get quality life insurance where they're not getting taken advantage of?
So with any company, does not matter who it is. It doesn't matter if I help you. It doesn't matter if you, Mark, were to help them if you sold life insurance. Everyone has a buyer free look period. It is a 30-day free look period. And in that 30-day period, you have a few options. You can either cancel it if you don't like it. Let's say you don't like the color of the packet. I don't like that, so I want to cancel it, right? Or you don't like whatever the benefits or whatever the riders look like. If you decide to cancel it, you have 30 days and they have to refund you your money, and you're not tied or committed into anything. So for anybody that is getting life insurance for the first time, you always look at that packet. First of all, the packet has to come in the mail unless it's sent to you electronically, because you do have that option anymore. Back in the day, it's coming in the mail. 7 to 10 business days, that's the turnaround time. But again, because everything is so instantaneously anymore, if it comes to your email, same rule applies. You have 30 days. What I sometimes do for people is just, especially because I do a lot of stuff over the phone or Zoom calls or whatever the case may be, I'll tell someone, don't start your coverage until you get your policy, because I want to make sure you get it. I want to make sure it's in tow. And then, you share the benefits, you share everything that these policies include. But for me, that doesn't help me if the policy isn't in my hand, right? Because now it's tangible. It's cute and it's colorful for me to talk and say the story about what it looks like and what comes with it or whatever. But when you have that packet in hand and it outlines and identifies every single thing that I shared with you, and then there's some extra stuff in there that I may not have shared with you, that just gives you some peace of mind, right? And at the end of the day, that's what you need. Some solace to be able to say, hey, I got this policy, it's in the safe. If anything happens to me, go right there. And then I tell everybody, whoever your beneficiary is, whoever is going to pick up those pieces when you check out of here, you have them call me and I will walk them through the process. Unfortunately, I've had to do it a lot, but those are the days and times that we're in, and everybody does have an expiration date. So
speaking of when you said who to contact in case somebody does pass away, what do you think about picking a beneficiary?
So this is a crazy story, and this just happened a couple weeks ago. I had a cousin who just passed away from cancer. My baby cousin, she was like 34, and I helped her with her insurance, and we were able to catch it before anything happened. So with all, I can't even say most, with all companies, there is a 2-year period where they don't have to pay out. It's a no contest type of clause that's in there. So you got to have it in place for 2 years, and then they can't question it. They have to pay out as long as the policy is paid up and enforced and active. They have to pay up. And so with her, she was like, well, cousin, who am I going to use? Because she's a single parent, right? And she chose her sister because she said, I know that my sister will make sure that my kids are okay. And so that's literally what they are dealing with. But I know that my cousin will take care of it because she's the big sister. So,
and then
does that
another,
help?
yeah, definitely. Another question, since we're on that subject, pre-existing conditions or medical, health wise, how does that play into obtaining a policy?
So, with pre-existing conditions, everybody can get covered. right? What happens is you have policies that will provide you day one coverage, meaning if something happened to you tomorrow, it's going to pay out to whoever you choose as your beneficiary. And then for pre-existing conditions, you can absolutely get covered. They don't ask any medical questions, none at all. But there will be a 2-year wait period, which means you got to be around 2 years in order for the policy to pay out in full. If you pass away year one, they refund you all of your premiums plus an additional 10%. So you got to think if you're paying $50 a month, right? That's $600. Plus they give you an additional 10%. That's just $660. But everybody can get covered. And I actually have programs that go up to age 89. That's my cap. But everybody can get covered. It's just a matter of your budget, what you're looking to attain. Most people anymore want to be cremated. That's not my story. That's the cheapest that you can do, right? Because it's just more inexpensive to do. But outside of that, you have those few options that you can work with.
Are the premiums more expensive for someone with a pre-existing condition?
Most times, yeah, because if you look at it from the standpoint of you're healthy and I'm not, I'm probably going to pay a little bit more, where I probably could have gotten 10,000 for 50, $60, and now I'm at 70 or $80 because I'm not all the way healthy. Those pre-existing conditions are real. Yeah.
Now that you're talking about, like Io just shared, so for pre-existing conditions, yes, the premium can be a little bit more expensive. How does age factor in that? Because if you wait too long
yeah, no. So that's exactly it. The older you get, the more it is. That's just what it is. But that's why I say it's just so important to get it while you're younger. Like, here's the other thing. If you don't go to the doctor and you get life insurance, no one knows that you're walking around with a tumor. Okay? You go to the doctor and now you have a tumor. Well, you've already got the life insurance. So some of the things that they look at too when they're paying out on these claims is what information was given at the time of application, right? So if I didn't know that I had a tumor and I go into the doctor 2 weeks later and I have one, well, you can't say that I didn't tell you the truth because I didn't know. So those are some of the things that come across as well. But yeah.
So I recall in 1994, Gerber Life Insurance. I got this packet, $3 a month. I said, "Oh shucks, let me go ahead and do what I need to do." Can you talk about Gerber and why is it so low? Can you share information about Gerber?
So I don't work specifically with Gerber. They are awesome. However, the reason that it's cheap, first of all, is because they do a lot of whole life policies. That's kind of like their bread and butter. That's kind of like their main focus of products. Mutual of Omaha has the same. Now, I work directly with Mutual of Omaha. They have the same children's product. Most children products are cheap. They just are. Why? Because babies are babies. We can insure a child as young as 2 weeks old, no social security number needed. So before you even leave the hospital, you know what I'm saying? My baby name is Randy Moss, child, and then and you're the owner of the policy. So as the owner of it, that's kind of how it works out. But those prices are super cheap. Like for a kid, a baby, even one, like $5.60 for like 10 grand. And those policies accumulate cash value too. All of them do. It's just kind of the route you take to get there. The universal life policies, they go quicker. They accumulate cash quicker. Most of the companies I work with, they offer a 2% annual return on your money. So.
And I'm glad you brought that up because there was actually a strategy that I've heard talked about in a few circles where when it pertained to building wealth amongst family members, where there may be some elders who are seasoned and a group of family members will get together and take out a large policy and all chip in and contribute. Can you speak to this from your understanding of how beneficial as financial tools life insurance can be for families?
So let's say mom is 75, right? No health issues whatsoever. Us three or four, all four of us, let's say it's $600. We all gonna chip in that thing, and we gonna pay the max that we can pay, because when mom goes, we're all four gonna split that money. So those are kind of the ways, because mom's gone, so she's not gonna care. And most parents, when they get to that age, they can't afford it anyway, just because budget purposes, right? Like I have policies that I pay for my mother, because I'm never gonna have to figure it out. Never. Like I'm never gonna do a GoFundMe page, not even for myself. I'm overinsured, but that's on purpose because I have a home, I have my children. Like it's intentional. I'm never going to be in that situation. So that's what I mean. Like you see it all the time. And oh, by the way, GoFundMe charges like 10% while people think they coming up. So just saying. So
Well, I'm
did that
glad you
help?
used that word intentional.
Intentional. That's the
Now,
word of the day.
there's a lot of suicide happening. Okay, it's no secret.
Mm-hmm.
There's
It
a
is.
lot of suicide happening. Can we talk about
Mm-hmm.
suicide and how it affects the payout of a policy?
Absolutely. Same thing. Had a cousin, he committed suicide. I think this is year two. And his cousin or his mom, my big cousin, she got coverage with me. The limit on that is you basically have to be around 2 years for it to pay out. He passed away, like I think we did it in like March, and he passed away that year. So we weren't able to exhaust a death claim on that because he passed away before the 2 years. But yes, mental illness is very real. And that's why I always try to tell people, check in with your family, check in with your people, make sure that they're okay, because you would have never thought that this young man would have taken his life ever. And it's always that kind of stuff that you find out on the back end, like, oh, he was struggling with this. I never knew. He never seemed like that. She never seemed like that. And sometimes when those burdens just get too heavy for us, we just check out. But that's the answer to your question. It's 2 years.
Thank you, because there is a very human side to this. And I know a lot of people, because it's hard to talk about the end. It's never comfortable talking about it, but being prepared. Can you just speak more to your experience? Because again, I'm sure you've seen and heard it all. Anything that could stop people from being either afraid or embarrassed to come forward and take that next step towards getting that type of protection for them families. Can you just talk to the human side to encourage people?
I think like what I said earlier is, if you don't plan, you plan to fail. And I would never want my mom, if I pass away before her, I'd never want my husband, I'd never want my kids to try to figure it out. Like, that's the biggest thing. I don't want anybody to try to figure it out for me. That's my job to figure it out. You know what I mean? And whatever it is, if all I got is $25, that's what I'm gonna pay because that's what I can afford. I'm not gonna be able to leave y'all with millions of dollars, but I'm gonna be able to make it to where the last thing you have to do is have another bill on your plate. Because what always ends up happening is this: when people don't have insurance in place, you don't even get to grieve properly. Because I'm so worried about how I'm gonna come up with this money. I don't know if what you know, but $10,000 is a lot of money to try to come up with. You know what I mean? It's easier to come up with 25 than it is to come up with 2,500. Just saying, right?
I think
So
the average person couldn't come up with 400 in an emergency is the statistic.
facts. So that's why I say it doesn't matter where you start. Just start somewhere. If you're young and you don't have any type of medical issues, any pre-existing conditions, those are the best people, like as of now. But then older people too. I'm just saying that the easiest thing to do is to start while you're young. Get your babies covered, because one thing is for certain is death does not discriminate against age.
It
It
really
It
does.
doesn't.
So Yvette,
So
you touched on the
yeah.
subject, because my father was a veteran and he had life insurance. When I tell
Mm-hmm.
you they diagnosed my dad with cancer and they gave him 6 months, they were right on the money, 6 months. This
Mm-hmm.
man went down there, picked out his casket, his order of
Hmm.
service. He did everything from beginning
Everything.
to ending. And I tell you
Mm-hmm.
one thing that no one knows, and if you could share, you don't just have a funeral to pay for. And in the venue you're having it, if you want to feed folks
Mm-hmm.
after, all this has
Mm-hmm.
associated costs. But there's
Mm-hmm.
something called opening of the grave. You have to pay for
Mm-hmm.
the plot, a space in the cemetery, which is thousands and thousands of dollars. So not
Very
only are
true.
you worried about life insurance, but there's this additional cost that you didn't know because after you have the funeral, where are you going to put the body? So can you share the importance, right, of having
Mm-hmm.
life insurance and the money on hand to cover the opening of the grave?
So in essence, like, so my dad was a veteran as well. And he passed away of prostate cancer. And when in 2020, and when he found out he had it, it was already a stage 4. He already had his insurance and everything in place too, because my grandmother made sure she had it on all of her kids. So that was a blessing, right? Hence the reason I said, get it on your kids. Even grandparents can get coverage on their children. People don't know that, but that's your grandchild. You can absolutely get coverage on that child. And again, you don't need their social because you're the owner of the policy. So to answer your question, you totally want to budget it out, right? Especially if you plan on having a traditional service. Again, if you get cremated, depending on how fancy you want to get, you can be between 3 and 5,000. Okay. And that's your cremation side. So when you think of the funeral home that you want to have it at and you get their price list for everything that they charge, you do know they charge for a musician. Okay. You do know that they charge for the minister or whomever is going to do your eulogy. They charge for all of that stuff. So I would say budget that out, and you just have to make that decision and that distinction on, am I going to do a traditional service or am I going to do a cremation service? That's kind of what it comes down to, because you're absolutely right. It is a cost for everything. Opening the gravesite, closing the gravesite, even when you get when you're cremated. If you're installed in one of those, you know, thingies, look, I'm like the wall. That's a fee. It's a fee to be installed there too. So I mean, it wouldn't hurt, to just kind of get those costs. Because one thing's for sure, they're definitely not going away. So
What would be the reason that what would be a reason that the insurance was not paid out? A friend of mine, sorry, committed suicide, and the insurance company has given their family hell, like
mhm,
in all areas. Like they went all the way back to like pre-existing depression. They went
mm,
and did investigations into therapy and like all these
mhm,
things. And they're
mhm,
accusing the family of not getting the proper coverage because they knew that she had depression. Not to say that, oh, everyone that's depressed is going to commit suicide. You know what I mean? So they are
mhm,
kind of trying to accuse the family of not putting that in her policy or her not putting that in her policy. How does it go
mhm.
about? So it's two part. What would be the reasoning for an insurance company not to pay out? And secondly, if a person neglects to mention all pre-existing conditions, how does that affect the payout for your policy?
So remember how I was saying that every insurance company, they have what they call a contestability clause. If your friend had insurance within that first 2-year period, not 2 years past, but just within 24 months, and it hadn't reached that 2-year threshold, they can go back and investigate and research everything, everything, because they have that right to. When you've had it longer than 2 years, they can't contest it. So, for example, You have a lot of people out here that they're in gangs, right? They got a set over here. They do this, they do that. Same thing applies, because as I told you, accidental death would cover a murder, right? If they haven't had that insurance for 2 years and they on Facebook throwing up gang signs and holding on weapons, they're definitely not going to pay out. You see what I'm saying? So that's the part of it. To answer your question, I'm really believing that her family had not had that coverage in place for that 2 years, because it wouldn't have been nothing that they could have contested. There's nothing to contest, because the law states that if you've had it for 2 years, run that. You gotta pay that out. Send that check ASAP.
The second part of my question was, if a person neglected to
Disclose.
to disclose the pre-existing condition, and that is found out after the death, that is plausible cause for them not to pay out.
Correct. Again, though, within that 2-year time frame, everything is kind of related to that, because here's the thing. What if when she did the application, she wasn't taking Bath and Body Works gel, and now she's taking it. We didn't know that prior to. So when I said that the system determines eligibility based on prescriptions that people take. So if you take a lot of pain management, a lot of depression pills, anxiety pills, the system is going to tell me you don't qualify. So now the only thing we can do is put you into a product that does have that wait period. Same 2 years. So does that help?
All right, now I want to get back around to these IULs because I got some questions. Now I know at different ages that it seems to be what's available to you is at different ranges. Can you talk about how the accumulated value on an IUL works? And what age range should people seriously consider that as a better option? And then maybe what kind of tools they get from it.
So I think that the younger, the better for an IUL. Why? Because you'll start accumulating that cash so that, like I say, when you turn 18, you're like, I'm just going to go and buy me a car and I'm just going to pay cash. You've had 18 years to have that thing stacked properly, and you can borrow from it. What a lot of people don't know is, so you borrow from whatever that cash value is. Most carriers, I know the ones that I specifically work with, it's 4% to borrow from yourself. After you've had the policy in place for 7 years or better, it's only 2%. So it's your money, right? And if I got it and I need it, I'm gonna need to fill out the form.
How soon when you take out an IUL policy can you borrow against it?
Okay, so we're gonna look at it like this: with an investment, just like your vehicle, you pay $300 a month for your car. 12 months of that payment is $3,600, right? We're gonna do some easy math. You haven't really put a dent in it, so you can't expect to be like, I need $3,000 the first year, because that's just not logical, right? It's cute thought, but it's not just realistic. So what I do is I provide illustrations so you can see it. Boom, you see, oh, this is what this looks like. So probably not year one, because year one, you're just paying into that thing, right? Year two, year three, and then it just starts kind of building from there. Most, when I do the illustrations, you have a target premium, which is the amount that you want to pay for your policy and your cash to grow exponentially. And some of them go until age 121. And then you have a minimum amount or premium. So you got to at least pay this. But if you pay this target amount, that's how you'll see your money maximize and grow.
Thank you for giving some game. Absolutely, because I honestly I pulled up my app because I got my policy on an app, and I'm looking at the numbers. I'm trying to figure out, like, I didn't even realize, because my ex-wife actually sold me the policy. It was like,
that was nice of her.
Yeah, it was real nice of her. It's a different story, but
you still got it.
Yeah.
So,
Well. Again, if something happened to me, I want to make sure my daughter is good. She's getting ready to. She's
that's it.
starting college this summer, so
Okay.
I want to understand what do I have in my hands that I'm just paying on every month, but I'm not even thinking about using it as a financial tool. I'm just thinking of it as, hey, when my daughter goes, or when I go, my daughter will have some. I didn't even realize, oh, I can actually borrow against this policy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the easiest way to find out what you got is to call. Hey, I'm just trying to find out my cash value. Oh, it's $3.55. Ballin'. You know what I'm saying? That's your story.
No,
Don't
Oh yeah.
let it grow a little more.
right, because
Look,
Mark
I'm
doesn't
just
need
saying,
to borrow. You see that necklace around Mark's neck. He don't need to borrow against that policy. But
he
we do
Oh,
have
you can borrow against that necklace. Go ahead. You said what?
so is there a penalty or interest when you borrow against it?
There is not. So, I mean, remember your interest is the 4% in most cases. Every carrier is different. And so I just would advise you to call them and say, hey, listen, I just want to know what your rates and fees are, because all of them will have some sort of fee in addition to like an administrative something, because somebody has to get paid to give you your money. And then the other part of that question, I think I saw, there's no penalty for it. So whatever you don't pay back, let's just say I want to take my 10 and I want to go to the Bahamas. That's where I'm going with my 10. So now I don't have 100 grand anymore. I only have 90. That's it. You're welcome. Whoever that is, you're welcome. So,
Wonderful, wonderful. So can you share with the community the difference between mortgage insurance and private mortgage insurance?
so private mortgage insurance is basically what you're paying for like your loan stuff of the house. It's totally separate. Mortgage protection protects your mortgage. That's it, in short. If your house burns down, you've got mortgage protection, which is why you pay, your hazard insurance and all your homeowner's insurance for your home. That's what that's for. So it protects the dwelling of your property. But yeah, and with your PMI stuff, you know that after you've accumulated 20%, you can drop the PMI. Just FYI. Mm-hmm.
I hope the community caught that after you paid
Yep,
20%.
yep,
Man,
yep.
we gonna have to
We'll get
call this
into
one
that.
hidden gems too, because she dropping jewels left and right. Give them the game,
I'm here
sis.
all day. I'm here all day. That's why I say like being intentional. It's a lot of stuff that we just don't know. And if someone knows it, it's to me, it would be unfortunate. And I feel as though I would be providing a disservice if I didn't share what I know. So, but then you learn from other people too. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it's about. I feel like if someone took anything away from what I said, then I won. So that's it. Any other question?
Well, I tell you, you have been giving us so much information because we did talk about the Gerber, which is also kind of like I think the global policies for the babies when they come up.
Mhm,
Now,
mhm.
my back in the day, well, I'm not going to disclose my age, but long time
It
ago,
don't matter. Mhm.
I purchased a
Paid
policy that's called a paid up policy. So
up.
after my oldest son turned, I forgot, 25, 20 something, I don't have to pay premiums no more for him. And
Paid up.
so
That's
it's
what that
paid up.
means. Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Those
yes,
are
yes.
awesome.
Let's talk about that.
So paid up policies are exactly that. Like once it's paid off, you don't have to pay a dime. So there's a couple of options too. So like one of the ones I like, they are called cashback options, also known as return of premium options. So for example, let's say you're paying $50 a month, you have a 30-year policy. You have two options. You can either have all your premiums refunded to you, or you can convert it into a paid up policy where now I've got a whole 25 grand and I don't have to do nothing to it ever. I can just stash that in my lockbox. So that's what paid up is. Once it's paid up, it's paid off completely. And there are those options. Mhm. Cashback options are super awesome because, especially if you have a mortgage and if you do like a 15-year cashback option, that gives you the ability to pay your house off earlier and avoid all the interest and stuff. Did
Man,
that
I,
answer?
I'm just loving all these financial strategies that you keep dropping, sis. Please, it it's almost like we just want to give you the mic and let you freestyle because we know you're a wealth of information.
We'll be on here all night and I'll be up here asleep.
Yes, yes, yes. And the sooner the better, right? The sooner
Mm.
you get the policy, the better.
The better. Yep.
Oh,
Yep. And like I said, if you need any just direction, like if you just want to know where do I start, like that's what all this stuff is for. Um, because you don't get to do it twice. Like you'll like I'm 45. I'll say my age all day. I'll only be 45 one time. You know what I'm saying? I'll be 46 after that. So, you don't get to go back and fix none of it. So why not do it the right way the first time as best as you can with what you know? And the whole thing about doing it is asking questions. Because how do you know how to do it if you don't ask? You didn't just get on a bike and start riding it. You probably fell a few times or saw a whole bunch of people fall, one or the other. So
definitely. That. Wow, this has been very good. You've shared all the information on fully paid up policies and cash withdrawals. I mean, hopefully no one's in a position that they need to draw cash, but this is good information for the community. Io, Mark, what else do we have for Yvette?
With the IUL, is the death benefit still guaranteed no matter how long the person lives?
yes and no, because the caveat to that is how old the person is when they got it, right? Because some people, depending on how old they are, if like 30s and 40s, those policies will carry you until age 100. That's your permanent coverage, right? Most people aren't living past 100, and for those chosen few that are, there are some policies that'll cover you till age 121. It just depends on how old you are when you get it. One cool thing with the IUL that I'll share is you have two type of death benefits. So this can be for you, Mark, so that you have a better understanding of it too. You have a level benefit and you have a increasing benefit. What that means is level is if you just have 100,000, that's what you have the whole course of your policy. That's it. If you have increasing, the cash value that you accumulate transfers to your death benefit. So if I pass away and I have 50 grand in cash value and my face amount is 100 grand, I now have 150,000 in death benefit
Oh,
coverage.
and just that one little difference can make that amount of money available.
Huge difference. Yeah. I'd
God,
rather it transfer if I don't spend it all. Because if the
right.
goal is to save it, I shouldn't be trying to dip into it anyway. But if you do, you
Absolutely.
do, you know,
It's available. It's yours. That's why
it's
you
yours.
get
It's
these
available.
instruments. And again, I wish there was some way we could make insurance like sexy and cool because black folks,
I'm
everything
trying.
got to be cool for us to really pay attention and get into it
Listen,
until we need it. And I'm just thinking of all the situations where I can remember from my days when somebody passed away and they knew or thought somebody had a policy, but they didn't know where to find it. And they were lost. Like, who do I call? Where do I go? So if somebody's in that situation and they're having to navigate the trauma of losing a loved one and then not knowing if or where their policy was, where should they turn?
so here's the thing. There isn't even like a website that I could direct you to, because if it was, there'd be a whole bunch of people that would be able to figure it out. So what I have had people do is find out, get your family member's bank statement, look through there, because if they're paying premiums, oh, it's gonna say
Mhm.
America, it's gonna say Mutual of Omaha. You understand? Now
Yeah.
I know. Okay, well, she had a policy with Mutual of Omaha, and that gives you somewhere to start at least, because everybody doesn't keep stuff. My mom always shredded stuff, so
Yeah.
you know what I mean. That's
And
that's
that
what I that's what I've literally had to help somebody do. Get a bank statement and see what's on it.
in that instance, what if they didn't have a beneficiary named?
Hmm. Hmm. Who? who's it going to go to?
Um,
That's
That's
why
when the
it's
state
so
steps in
interesting.
and takes over.
Yep. Yep.
I mean,
And
you
they
think of
cheat
all the celebrities that have died recently that come to
with
find out
nothing,
they
with
didn't have
no,
insurance, nothing in place.
yep, 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 no
Right.
will or nothing.
Mhm.
And I have a website too, for people that need to do a will. If you want me to give that to you, it's free,
Absolutely.
Please,
so it doesn't
absolutely.
cost you anything to do it. Um, it is literally www.doyourownwill.com. And it's literally a PDF document where you go through and you kind of itemize your stuff. But the blessing of that is you take it to your bank where your notary is and get it notarized, and now it's a legal binding document. So
Wow.
that's
That was
free.
another gem.
I'm just saying, community, do y'all realize the power that we have to create structure in the legal system that can protect our family and our finances? Like I just hope the community is really catching all the wisdom that you were sharing, because sometimes we don't even feel like we deserve or belong in some of these places, or we don't know that these things are available to us. So thank you.
Mhm.
Please
You're
keep
welcome.
sharing, keep sharing.
I
Absolutely.
mean, that's a starting, that's a starting point. Because, you just have to get in where you fit in, and I tell people again, it doesn't matter. Just start. Just start. That's kind of the biggest thing that I can give to take away from it. You just have to start somewhere. And if 5,000 is all you can afford and you're 50, if that's what it is, that's 30, 40 bucks, you roll with that. Then what I tell people to do too is you stack your policies. That's how you do it. If you have a goal, like let's say you're like, you know what, I know I need 50 grand. You stack them. So maybe you start with 10, then the next year you grab 25. You understand? And then the next year, and since when you're a broker and you work with more than one carrier, well, we can get one from America, we can get one from Mutual of Omaha and Aflac and Aetna and Prosperity. You always have those options. And that's what people don't get. People think, oh, I can only have one insurance policy. Says who? The only thing the insurance company wants to know is it paid? Is it active? Are you paying for it? And do you plan on replacing this coverage? If you don't plan on replacing it and it's just additional coverage adding to what you have, who cares? I'm paying for it. And I didn't use this other one to cash out on that to buy this one. So you can absolutely stack them if your goal is to get an acquired or a desired dollar amount.
So I've never been a fan, and this is my own personal preference, of term
Mhm.
policies because it kind of gives me anxiety. Because you pay for so long. Now you got this $250,000 policy, $500,000
Mhm.
policy. You feel like, ooh, this is a lot of money, and
Mhm.
your thoughts get to going different, but you don't want nothing to happen to you. But after a while, you've paid all those premiums and they're gone. The
Mhm.
term is up. Now what happens? What happens, Yvette, after you paid the money? The
So
10, okay.
So sometimes if you review your contract information, your policy information, some policies are renewable, meaning that when you reach a certain age, you can renew it. There will be different fees though that go along with that because now I'm not 60, now I'm 75, right? So it's going to be a little bit more change. The reason that term policies and products are attractive is because of what they cost. It's cheaper to get you a term policy. You can absolutely get $250,000 in term for a way cheaper amount than you would get in a whole life policy. So sometimes I think that the smart way to set those up is when you are stacking them, like I said. So you've got something in place where here we are with 250,000 and that's going to last us for a good 25, 30 years. But then we got some whole life in our back pocket. So we're not stuck with nothing at the end. I had an older lady that I helped. She's one of my favorite clients. And this person of a different complexion, sold her some life insurance. And she was under the impression that she had whole life. So when I went and met with her, she was like, "Oh no, baby, I'm good. I promise." Da, 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 da. And she pulled her stuff out, and I was like, "This is literally a term policy. It's a 15-year term, and she's 72. So when she got it, she was 68. So you already know she's on a budget because she gets Social Security. So she's thinking, oh, I'm good. I have $100,000 worth of coverage. When in essence, it was a 15-year term, and then it increased after. So 68, 15. So when she turned 82, it was going to go up to like $600-700. Then the next year, it was going to go up to like $1,000. You understand? So it just kept going up, kept going up, kept going up. She didn't have a problem paying $600 a month. So what I did for her is I got her 4 policies because she has 4 children, and we stacked them 25, 25, 25, 25. And there's your $100,000 whole life. Price never changes. Once it's set, it's set. And she didn't care about paying the $600 because guess what's not going to happen? She's not going to have to pay $1,000. She's not going to have to pay $1,500 at 80 something years old. So that's the reason I say that I'm always happy to review policies, because you don't know. This is not your lane. I don't do hair, but I have a stylist. You understand? Because it's not my thing. It's not my, it's not my lane. So that's the part of it. And she would not have known that if I wouldn't have reviewed her stuff. And she's like my favorite person. She referred me to like 15 people. So yeah.
Well, I mean that's the blessing in what you do. You literally are protecting and helping people.
Yeah, it is. And I say, whenever I'm in anybody's house or whenever anybody's referred to me, I'll tell them, I'm going to help you the same way I help my family, because I'm never going to put my mom in a bogus policy. I'm never going to put my sister, my brother, my cousin. I'm never going to do that. So if I see what you have, and if that works for you, cool. Ease on down the road. That's what we do. You can ease on down the road. It's fine. But if it's something better that's going to be more beneficial for you, price wise, budget wise, those living benefits, those are the blessings in the policy itself. If I end up with cancer, which runs on both sides of my family, I can go and borrow against my policy that I already have in place to pay for medical bills, to pay for me being whatever I'm doing, whatever I want to do. If I have a bucket list, I can use that money and go on a cruise, or to take my mind off of whatever. That's what those things are in place for. Living benefits are important. They just are. So, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, very deep. A lot of good information. Because I do know that a lot of these insurance premiums are placed in stocks and all kinds of stuff way above my head. I don't get all into.
Me too.
I just have a financial advisor, and I just be like, here, handle it. I don't want my nerves rattled, so just do what you need to do.
Right. Right. Well, when you talk about annuities, let's say you have a lump sum. I did my very first annuity for a family member. My cousin's mom, she was pulling out some money. It was like $30,000, and she needed to move it so that she wouldn't have tax implications. 30 grand. So what I did is I searched for a company that would allow her to not impose any type of risk. I don't care if it comes in at zero. She's not losing any of her money. But then it also allowed her the ability to withdraw if she needed to without a penalty. And that's the annuity side. And there are products like that. It's just a matter of finding out which one makes the most sense for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, especially if you have a lump sum of money, you need to roll it. Yep.
Wow.
You're all in one.
What's that feeling delivering that check to somebody?
I just, I think I'll probably become more thankful just because I know that I did the best that I could do in helping them, and just giving them some kind of peace of mind that at the end of the day, this wasn't all for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that I can take care of this, and most oftentimes people are getting in touch with the funeral home anyway, and then they're coordinating all of it. One thing I can say about funeral homes is don't ever tell them how much your policy is. Don't do that. All you need to find out is what their bill is.
Cause they're gonna run
What
it
is
up.
your total? I'm trying to tell you. So now I done paid for chairs. I done paid for, okay, all the stuff that I thought was supposed to be included, ma'am, sir, no. Mm-mm. A piano, yeah. So you just find out what the bill is. Just give me the bill. Give me the bill. And then
Repeat
I
that.
can, hmm?
Yeah,
You
Repeat
said
that
what?
for the
funeral
community.
homes got game too.
Trying to tell you. And oh, by the way, they do charge a percentage if they're working with the insurance company. I learned that last year. So, because I had an aunt pass and I had to plan her whole funeral in Oakland and I live in Denver. So, yeah, it happens. So
Wow,
you just
that
have
was
to don't give out too much information to them. And all of them aren't like that. Don't get me wrong. But if it's an opportunity and they don't know that you know, yeah.
so. I'm gonna run that back because that was important. Community. Some things are best unsaid. Keep your
Amen.
business to yourself. Do not share your
Not
financial information, your policy amounts, all that pertinent information that's just for you. Do not share that with the funeral home. You just want to know the associated cost for the services that you are receiving. Nothing
that
more.
is it.
And don't,
Nothing
and you
more.
might not want to
Nothing
share it with
less.
some of your family members either, because you know people get crazy when money's on the table. I done seen some real
They
ignorant
get mad.
stuff at funerals behind money.
Me too. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
So
yes.
I mean, I don't know. Everything, all of them are not created equal. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, there are some really good funeral homes that'll take great care of you. But like I said, that's more importantly for the ones that are not.
So, Yvette, can you tell about how long does it take if something, God forbid, happens to a family member? I know that you
Mhm.
get the death certificate and you supply that to
Mhm.
the insurance, the
Insurance
life
company.
insurance
Mhm.
company.
To
How
start
soon,
your death claim.
yes, the death
Mhm.
claim. How soon is payout? Because I know that money starts adding up, and
Mhm.
yes.
So it really depends. It depends on the carrier because every carrier is different. There are some that will run it back to you within 7 to 10 days, and then there are some that'll run it within 30. It just, 30 to 60. It just really depends. But you always need your death certificate and or obituary. You always need those pieces of information to start any death claim. So yeah, and you can always call when you send everything in anyway. Just ask them, hey, just curious to know what's your turnaround time, so I know what to plan for and how to plan properly.
All right. Well, Ayo, Mark, any final questions or comments for Yvette before she gives us some statements or words of advice that we can leave with the community?
I would pick her brain some more, but she's giving so much information. I don't want to burn her out, and I know it's getting late. So, thank you for all the information that you've shared, Yvette. It's been a wealth of knowledge for the community.
Yes,
Thank you
piggybacking off
guys.
a wealth of
Thank you. Go ahead.
those small little increments, and even your side comments, those are the gems, like true gems. Like you would never know, because I would be that person like, this is what I got, what can you do with it? That's
Mhm.
me. A person
Mhm.
being distraught, like you said, and going through the motions of losing the family member and all these things, you want to lessen your load as much as possible. But what we learn and what we take from this is being proactive.
There you go.
Sooner the better.
Mhm.
And also being able to understand that no matter the pre-existing and or age, everyone is entitled to getting that payout. Everyone is entitled to having coverage.
Mhm.
When it comes to the pre-existing conditions, I guess it's a little more tricky with the policies that you're able to obtain. But even in those instances, even if you have something, just that little bit will go a long way in helping your family to bear you and or any aftercare costs. So thank you for all of those beautiful gems. And Mark, you're right. We need to have her back on Tuesday because we got to highlight her. We need to highlight you as many times on here so we get it out to our community.
You.
What you say? sacrificing that Starbucks, sacrificing,
Come on.
hey,
Listen.
I got this
Come on.
account, something is taking money every month and or week. You can make sure that you sacrifice for the long run in the game of your people, your family, your children, and just your successors. It's very important. Okay, very important.
And just remembering too, at the end of the day, it's temporary, right? Because if you get yourself in a situation where you get a policy that's paid up and paid for, you've already won. Like, okay, I don't have to pay nothing else on this thing. Starbucks, yay. I just think that we have to kind of prioritize the things that are important. And then for everything that's not, it's just not. The seriousness of it all is just making sure that nobody has to figure it out for you. Nobody. Because nobody should have to. We're all kind of responsible for ourselves in that light, and nobody should have to pick up those pieces for you when that time comes. When the inevitable happens, that shouldn't be on my mom. That should be on me.
All right, now you're talking, Yvette, you're talking. So if you could please give some words of advice or statements to the community upon your departure, because you've really blessed us tonight.
Oh, I'm glad. One of the things I would probably say is that besides not only having one chance to do this thing called life and being intentional, think about how when you pass away, that's already a huge hole for anybody. Your absence, right? If it's income, your income is not there. You can't replace the person, but sometimes you can replace the income, right? Because if this person contributed to this mortgage payment and they're not here anymore, the worst thing you could do is put them in a situation where they gotta rent. Now I gotta go find a roommate because he gone. You know what I'm saying? Now I gotta refinance the house. I hope I don't lose the house because I'm not able to afford it on my own. So that's just a piece for homeowners where if you own your home, make sure it's protected. So nobody has to figure that out, especially in certain situations where this is the house that all the kids grew up in. How unfortunate is that? That's the family house. And now we can't even afford to be here because grandpa paid the mortgage and grandma was a stay-at-home mom. So that's the intentional part because you have to think of who you're leaving behind and how you not being around is going to affect them. So that's probably my biggest thing that I can say in terms of just planning. Proper planning prevents piss poor performance, period. So
that's a good one.
Oh yeah, add that. So yeah. I don't know. I thank you guys so much. I got to give a special thanks to my cousin Christina McPherson. She is also an entrepreneur there, and she's the one who told me about what you guys are doing and all the awesome stuff that you all are doing in the community. So I was like, oh, what do I need to do? Okay, I'll send an email. I know a little something. I know a lot about a little bit, and I'll just roll with that. And here we are. So I thank you guys for just allowing me the opportunity to speak and share. And just remembering that everything happens by design. Nothing happens on accident. Everything happens on purpose. So.
Wonderful. Thank you, Yvette. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We appreciate you.
Thank
I'm
you,
sure
guys.
the community, we've been getting a lot of thank yous through the chat. So you have a good evening, and I'm sure we will see you soon.
I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Have a good night.
You too.
Wow. That was awesome. That was awesome. She got me thinking, hey, I could stack some policies. I got 3 kids. I could get them all their own policy for their
You better start stacking.
I better stack them policies because they all need their own policy,
I'm right there with you because when she said stacking them and with different companies, like I piggybacked off what you said. I got the Gerber insurance for my eldest, but I didn't do it for my youngest. And so like even with the pre-existing conditions, like trying to get them coverage at their ages now, it's been like, Oh my God, needle in a haystack, a needle in a stack of needles. Okay. So with learning that information, even with the lowest amount, you know what I mean? Of course, the premium is going to be higher with if and because they have pre-existing conditions, but to be able to stack them, that's amazing. Like she gave us so many jewels tonight. So many jewels tonight.
I'll tell y'all, this is why I love both sides of the conversation. The fact that we get to see so many beautiful black and brown people like us with so much knowledge, so much information. I really like her approach because we have to make these kind of things a priority in our community again. Again, I've been there too many times where I've seen people on the corner trying to wash cars, do fish fries, all this stuff to raise money for final expenses, when we actually have these resources in our community to give us the game. Yeah, we got blessed tonight. So I definitely hope she comes back again.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and proceed. Community. Get insurance early. If you are of age, that means you're old enough to make money, you're old enough to drive, you're old enough to buy Starbucks, you're old enough to pump a gallon of gas. If you are of age and can afford to spare $15 to $30 per month, get life insurance. Do not pass the burden of friends and family. Grieving cannot properly take its place while they may be soliciting donations from folks. Stack your policies, get multiple policies, buy multiple, make sure you are covered. Prepare yourself. Google the costs in your community. $3,000 to $5,000 is a cremation fee. You have the florist, you have minister fees, you have the venue. If you want to feed all your friends and family, repast, food is expensive. Some folks like doves, horse and carriages. I've seen those type of homegoings. The extra. Some people are bougie. The extra. You need to prepare for these things. Opening and closing of graves. Look how much plots cost in your area. I'm talking about $5,000 to $20,000 to open and close a grave. Do not, I repeat, because Yvette was dropping gems all tonight. Do not share your policy details with your service providers, the folks that you are hiring to do specific services and provide these services. Do not give them your policy details. They don't need to know any of that. That's pertinent information for you only. Pre-existing conditions, suicides, any acute pre-existing life-altering permanent medical diagnosis can have a 2-year period. She said 2 years until you are fully covered. Suicide, same thing. Read the contestability clause in your policies. Call Yvette. She can interpret your policy. She knows all about it. She is more than willing and has offered her services. She will interpret it for you and give you an understanding as to what you have. Mortgage insurance. Make sure you're prepared. She dropped many gems tonight. Private mortgage insurance. You can drop that after 20%. That's another token she dropped. Get in contact with Yvette Sayers. She has expertise and knowledge. If you do not plan, you plan to fail. She shared it. You can replace money, but not the person. And lastly, she said, proper prior planning prevents piss performance. You got it, community. Right here on both sides of the conversation. Sunday's conversation, 4 p.m. We'll see you. Tuesday, Hidden Gem segment, 7 p.m. We hope to see you again. It has been a lovely, lovely night with our educational presenter tonight, Yvette Sayers. She brought it tonight, community. Take heed and enjoy the rest of their evening. Thank you for joining with us. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.